All right, we're here at Kambites Chiropractic in Denver, Colorado. I'm standing here with Dr. Jim Kambites, my chiropractor. Quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, a godsend as far as the issues I've had in my past with my lower back, which a lot of you know about. I've spoken at length in my blog and on my website about these issues. So I think this segment's going to be important for the DVD because I think there's a lot of people out there like myself that have lower back issues. They try to train around them, try to train through them, and it just doesn't go very well. They continue to have the issues, lower back continues to degenerate, and they just continue to have, obviously, the pain to the point where it's not only affecting their training, but it's affecting their day-to-day lifestyle as well. So, Jim, I'd like to ask you, for the people watching the DVD, a little bit about your background, who you've worked with. Obviously, I know this, that's why I came to you, but if you could let them know who you've worked with, and a little bit about the Gonstead method of chiropractic, because again, that's another reason that I came to you as well.
Yeah, so, I first had my initial back pain when I was 17 years of age, and I was embarking on a professional hockey career, and what I noticed was that there were some misnomers and some kind of stereotypes with chiropractors at the time back in the 80s, and so I had to search out, just like you sought out, Skip, some help. And sometimes we think as guys we're just going to work through things. That's the kind of the mentality that we have. And pretty soon things get to a point where you just can't push through it anymore, and you need someone good on your health team. And that's what I think is important here, is you sought out someone to have on your health team to kind of help, independent third party, to look at what's going on in my body. And the Gonstead method, the cool thing with the Gonstead method that we used with Skip is we took x-rays right when Skip came in and looked at what's going on in his spine. We saw that the discs were very thin in his body at the end here. And what happens when the vertebrae was slipping a little bit and putting pressure on those nerves, it caused the muscles to be real tight. So Skip and I were talking, even when he first came in years ago, how it was hard for him to do certain lifts. And once we figure that out and we do a thorough case history, we take the x-rays and we see that Skip also had an extra vertebrae in his low back, so we say that he's a special man. So we know that now. We have documented proof. So after that, we have to figure out, okay, how are we going to adjust and get the vertebrae lined up correctly so we take pressure off the nerve so the nerve can fire correctly to the muscles. So in this case, we're talking about an athlete, we're talking about a bodybuilder, a guy that can lift a lot of weight. But for any athlete, it's about making sure the nerves fire correctly so the muscles can function at the best that they can. And sometimes it takes time because the process has been there for a while, but that's how we had great success with Skip, is because we got nerve pressure off the area, and then muscles were able to fire correctly, which enabled the joints to move correctly, which enabled him to train and do what he needs to do.
Just to elaborate on some of my issues, most of you, or a lot of you watching this, have heard me talk about my past issues in my blog and on my website, intensemuscle.com. But for those of you who haven't, the situation was, to me, so bad that I was not only questioning whether I was going to be able to continue to train to be able to compete, but there were times where I just wasn't able to sleep due to the sciatica pain being so bad. I know there were times where I just, quite frankly, I just felt hopeless. And it was funny how I came across it, because I didn't do the legwork. I didn't do the research. I was talking about it on the website, and I had a member that private messaged me, and he said, I'm going to school to be a chiropractor, and he said, you may want to look into this. And of course my first reaction was, oh geez, yeah, like I haven't tried that, I haven't thought about that. So I wasn't terribly optimistic, but at the same time I thought, well, I am running out of options here, and I essentially felt like I had two left. I was going to continue to train through it and potentially make the situation worse to the point where I wasn't going to be able to do anything anymore, and hang up my posing trunks and put the barbells away and trade them in for Cheetos and beer. I don't know. It didn't strike me as too bad of an option, at least briefly. But the other thing was, I could look into this option and see if maybe, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not looking at this right. Maybe this can actually help me. So what he did was he said, I'll make a couple calls for you in your area. I'll question some of these chiropractors, and I'll get back with you with who I think. So he called 3 or 4 people, and he got back with me in a couple days, and he said, you need to talk to this guy. And I said, why? And he said, because I asked him a bunch of questions, and he was the only one who told me what I thought that you needed, and what I thought the answers, as far as what you had told him, that the answers were what I would be looking for, what I would need. So I took the chance. I came in, and and make a long story short in that sense, is I went from not being able to do a simple leg extension, being able to get my legs out and extended, or even hold the platform with one plate on each side of the angle leg press, to being able to go back into slowly. Took a long time to get back the strength in my lower back, but the pain and the discomfort was alleviated within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, not completely gone, but obvious to the point where I thought, oh my goodness, this is one of the best moves that I've made. So I would ask you, my second question is, as far as the benefits, myself, I felt like my situation was kind of extreme, and maybe it wasn't. Do you feel like when you get people that come to you, be it athletes or regular people who are dealing with these back issues, is my situation normal? And do most people benefit from the chiropractic adjustments, versus, say, surgery or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'd say, at least 90% of people get better with the adjustment. And that's the fun thing with what we do. And I too was in the same boat at 17 years of age when I first hurt my back playing hockey. And, I was walking up a driveway like this at 17 years of age. And it's a scary thought because you're right, the number of things go through your mind. Am I done? Do I need a cortisone shot, which is just going to numb the area? Do I need surgery, which 30% of the time surgeries, people are the same or worse afterwards. So there's a lot of different options out there. But I would say in your situation, we get this a lot in our practice. 80 to 90% of the time, people that come in, even a guy adjusted yesterday, in one adjustment, he was 30% better today. And, most people, it takes a little bit of time because it's been there for a while. But once you create better balance in the body has its innate ability to heal itself. And we know that with what you're doing and with what I'm doing, we know that we can make extreme changes in the body. And if we push the body in the right direction, the body will perform correctly. And that's what I do on a daily basis. Find out what's the malfunction, what do we need to do to fix. Let's push the body in that direction, and eventually the body will respond in a favorable manner.
All right, Dr. Kambites, I see you've got my x-rays up here, and the reason that I know they're mine is because those fine breasts right here. I recognize my breasts. If you want to, I know it shows, the x-rays show, and I can't see it, but if you could explain a little bit about the alignment issues and what you see in the x-ray, and show off my special part over here,
Yeah.
my extra vertebrae, things like that. You kind of have to step me through it or step us through it because you know this stuff like the back of your hand, and of course, we basically have no clue.
Yeah. So what we'll do is the x-ray is here, but I'll kind of show it on a model too. So this is basically looking at skip from the back here, and what we see is that one hip is higher than the other. So in hips account here, this is his right side. The right hip is higher here in Skip's low back, and also this vertebrae, so we look at it in a two-dimensional plane, the right hip is higher and the right hip is also externally rotated, so it's rotated like that. So you can see if you're trying to do a squat or even a simple leg press or leg extension, that just doing that, the body's not going to be able to move very well because the hip joints don't move very well. So simplistically saying, these are the muscles in here. If the nerves aren't firing correctly and if the alignment is off, obviously the body's not going to function well. When the body isn't functioning well, what happens is it'll deliver a pain signal to the body, and now you have two choices. You can take a cortisone shot, you can mask it with drugs and anti-inflammatories, or you can go, okay, what's the root cause of that, and can I fix the root cause? And that's where the adjustment comes in. Any rotation or misalignment like that, when we do an adjustment and we get better alignment, the body will start to heal and will start to move in a better manner. And that's why it takes a little bit of time also. So that's what's going on with Skip's back from the back side. From the side, because we look at an x-ray from a two-dimensional plane, this is where the disc gets real thin. So he's got an extra vertebrae, which makes things a little bit tougher. And then also there's a little bit of thinning of the disc in the back part of the vertebrae there. So when we do an adjustment, what we do is we get better motion in that area, and better motion means that it's going to save that disc from getting even thinner in the long term. And that's the cool thing with chiropractic. We know that the body needs motion, and specifically speaking, the discs need motion because they're 90% water. And if we don't have proper motion, then eventually that's going to get bone on bone. And that's why in the model here too, we can see how the disc goes from normal to thin with bone spurs to very thin. And this disc, I don't know if you can see this nerve here, but this nerve is very thin. And if that nerve is only firing 20 to 30%, then the body's going to start malfunctioning at some point. So that's what's going on with Skip's low back here.
I got a question for you. As far as the, what is your opinion, I guess, how did I get to the point where I was in such bad shape? Could it be potentially, I say poor training form, but that's hard to believe because form to me is so crucial.
Yeah.
And I've always had real good form, warming up, things of that nature. Could it have been as an example, minor injury that I start my body is making shifts and changes without doing it consciously, and over time, I know that the time factor probably plays a part. Training 27 years, I didn't start having back problems until 10, 12 years ago, roughly halfway through the training process. What are your thoughts on that?
Great question. So, because a lot of people ask when they come in here, they go, how the heck did this start, when did it start, and what happened to me? So there's a number of factors genetically, so our parents, there's genetic low back issues that can happen with parents, such things as spondylolisthesis, spina bifida, and those are some things I actually have in my low back that was dealt from my father all the way down. And I have 3 brothers, and I was the lucky one of the 4 to have those conditions. So there's genetic things, and then there's what I call little microtraumas that occur throughout our lifetime. So here's what I call the threshold of pain, and there's little things that happen. Sporting events when we're little guys, falls from trees, fall off my bike, my brother pushed me down the stairs, all these little things that happen, athletic events, pretty soon the body reaches a threshold where the discs are thin and the body's not moving correctly, and it can cause the pain. I look at it in a weightlifting situation, and with my background too, my master's degree is exercise physiology, nutrition, CSCS, which is the NSCA certification that I have also, and I look at a lot about ergonomics and biomechanics and how we move, even just from simple sitting in front of a desk to even when we are working out. You think about when we load the bar, even to do a bench press, and sometimes we'll grab the plates off of there and we'll bend, twist, and we'll put them down in an improper manner. So I'm big, even when I work out now too, is I practice and preach this stuff. I better be lifting that plate off correctly, I better be going here, bending down and putting the plate away. And I think sometimes we get that invincible attitude as guys, is that, hey, that set's done, I'm going to lift, bend, twist, and it's these little micro traumas that lead, and all of a sudden, boom, it reaches that threshold where we develop pain. So,
well, I think that's easy to do when you don't have any prior back problems.
Exactly.
And I know myself, when I would pick up a 15, 20 pound dumbbell, I would be picking it up and putting 25-pound plate back this way after the problem. So I think, and you had back problems as well, so I think it's probably more obvious to us than it is to people. I know when I didn't have back problems, I was doing whatever, and I can't, it didn't occur to me that, what's the big deal, it's a 25-pound plate. The other thing that I'm curious about, and I know I've said this many times over the years, the longer you train, even if you're training correctly, repetition in and of itself is degenerative, in the sense that you can squat perfectly, you can run perfectly, you do those things perfectly with great form, but over time, it just tends to pull the knees apart, pull the back apart. Do you agree with that?
Wear and tear. So that's where I talk about our health team. So from the Colorado Avalanche that I treat to some weekend warriors to my kids. All 3 of my kids have been adjusted since birth, get adjusted every week or 2, and will for the rest of their life, because I live vicariously through them, and I see guys like us, and I go, hey, at 30 or 40 years of age, I don't want my kids to have the problems that I have. So working on them a little bit now, teaching them how to lift, bend, twist correctly, teaching them how to stretch correctly, and then surround yourself with good people, your health team that I call it, a good chiropractor, a good massage therapist that can work on the muscles, somebody that can help.
And a really good prep guy.
Good prep guy. Someone that can help kind of walk you through, what do I need to do here? We try to do it ourselves all the time until we reach a crisis, and then we're searching for people. But it's even good at a young age. I notice it with the young athletes I work on, even the high school people, now they're starting to get it because I'm telling them my story. I'm like, hey, I know it's just a groin pull to you right now, or I know it's just a muscle pull right now, but if we don't fix the root cause of that, that can set up a whole host of other problems.
Sure.
So here, we talked about on the x-ray what's going on with Skip's low back. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and show an actual adjustment. I'll go through the analysis part of it and how we do an adjustment. And the cool thing with the Gonstead method is every time that someone comes in to get adjusted, we go by what we did last time, but more importantly we figure out, okay, what's going on from the last time that I adjusted him. So there could have been a recent trauma, there could have been an injury with Skip with lifting. He could have lifted this morning and had a little bit of twinge or problem in his low back area. So we're going to walk through and go through an adjustment here now. So go ahead and lay face down here, Skip.
This is my favorite part.
So what we do is we just have Skip laying face down here, and we're just kind of palpating and checking the low back area. So that's why we have the x-rays up too, because it lets us see what's going on with Skip in here.
I'm a little tight in there.
Yep.
From legs yesterday.
Yep. So Skip worked legs yesterday, so this is an area, and he likes to carry a lot of tension on his right side here. So what I'm really trying to do is create balance in here. Just like we talked, if you're tighter on one side of the body versus the other side of the body, then the hips and the joints aren't going to move correctly. So we're trying to create better balance in the body here. So his right side moves real easy, that's good. His left side is real tight, what we call fixated or stuck. So we're going to adjust the low back area and get that moving much better. Other things that we look at, leg length. So his left leg is shorter, so shorter left leg, tighter on the left side, and then his paraspinals or his muscles are tighter on the right side in here. So by the time he leaves after an adjustment, I want everything functioning and moving correctly. So go ahead and go left side down, Skip. So here, the top leg
This one, I
comes
forget.
up, yep, bottom leg straight, and we go arms like this.
If I fart, edit it out. Yeah.
Okay, so go in the back. So that's an adjustment there. So it's a quick, light force going into the spine there, into the joints to get the joints moving better.
It always feels so good after it.
So you'll
After
see,
it
I
moves.
don't know if you can see this with Skip's foot. His right foot comes in pretty good. His left foot is much tighter there. So what we do is we work the ankle, knees, hips all the way up. 3 to 5 times the body weight comes through the ankle. So if we don't take care of the whole kinematic chain here and make sure ankle, knee, hip is firing correctly, then we're not going to get the job done here. It's real light but quick there. Check his knees in here. And then afterwards, when we check that, we'll see how the feet come in and they rotate equally. So then we recheck everything, so go ahead and lay face down again for me. And then right after the adjustment, the left hip is moving much easier there.
Big difference. I could feel huge difference.
And then even in his musculature on the right-hand side here, the muscles aren't as tight, because if the hips are rotated and tight, it's going to cause a torsion in that muscle. Now we've got things lined up much better, which causes the muscles to fire equally. So that's good.
All right, Jim. Well, I want to thank you for your time this afternoon, setting aside the time to go over this stuff, not only for myself but for the DVD and the people watching the DVD. I think it's important for those watching to know that I came in with a pretty pessimistic attitude when the idea was brought to me that I should look into chiropractic based on my back problems. So I think there's some people out there with back problems, maybe in a similar situation that I was, and contemplating, hey, what do I do? Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, I'll train through it. Oh, I'll train around it. And so hopefully that anybody watching this will take away, take the opportunity, find yourself someone that you trust, good doctor, chiropractor, check it out, and get an initial consultation. Talk with them, ask a lot of questions. Personally, I think that chiropractic should have something to do with the Gonstead theory, because I just think that that to me was the difference. So if there's anything else you'd like to add here at the end, I'm sure they'd like to hear from you. Otherwise, like I said, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to go through, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are like us, that, you know, are very athletic, and sometimes you kind of hit a block where the training isn't going well, you're not feeling well, you've had a little bit of injury, and, you know, everything from even, you know, bicipital tendonitis to a shoulder problem to wrist. People don't realize that chiropractic is for anywhere in the body that two joints come together.
Right.
And there's a lot of things people see me for, from an ankle sprain to a knee problem. So anywhere two bones come together to form a joint, that's stuff that we help with. And it's important that people know that, because there's going to be male, female, young and old that may have some things going on that they're curious whether something non-invasive, non-drug can help them with. And that's what we're trying to do as chiropractors, is help people without having to induce a lot of stuff in the body to make sure that they're functioning as well as they can. So that's good.
But in this day and age, I mean, aren't drugs the answer to everything?
Well, depends on what you're doing.
Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate
Good.
your time, Jim.
All right, thank you.
Who's this guy?
Hey, you can't leave until I see you.
I can't even believe this guy's on the wall with me. What the hell is this all about, girl?
I know.
All he does is play ice hockey. I don't even know if he's that good. Who is that?
Who do I know? I know this guy.
That's right. He ain't as tight as that guy down there. I don't know.